Hey guys, hey, it's Heavy T here. I just wanted to shoot out another video to you guys, and I wanted to kind of cover kind of the same subject I was talking about earlier in one of my previous videos regarding SRA and MKUltra mind control and some of the programming that they run on some of the children and some of the underground bases. And for instance, with me, it wasn't I don't necessarily really remember a lot of the underground bases. I do remember a couple of accounts of me going, just basically, I remember the LED lighting that I saw. It was back in the 80s, and I remember when I was 12 and they were doing all the experiments on me. I know I was down underneath there because I remember seeing the LED lighting that was on the tunnels. It was on the top of the tunnels, and LED lighting didn't come out for another 20 years. So I do know what LEDs look like, and I know it was LED lighting when I saw the LED lighting that came out 20 years later. I definitely started putting two to two together. But and then I do remember seeing the cloning chambers at one point as well. I remember rolling by. I was basically in a hospital bed and I was being wheeled below somewhere for some reason, and that's basically all I remember. And I just kind of blacked out from there. But I remember some of the experiments, and some of the experiments were very, very, very painful. We're talking like poking your genitals with things, putting things in your genitalia until you would pass out in pain. Just very traumatic things that people don't like to remember. And those were a couple of things I remember in passing out. I remember I was in so much pain that it actually knocked me unconscious as a child. So, but those were a couple of things. And then I remember some electric shock as well. And then like some substance that they made me swallow that made me puke and stuff. I'm not sure what that was all about, but I remember quite a bit about it. And one of the things was I was actually a child model when I was younger, so I did a lot of commercials. I worked for a company called Star Coordinators, and I did some commercials for Joslyn's, Mady and Av, some newspaper ads, and a couple of like soap detergent commercials, and I think it was Billy the Kid Jeans, I think was one of the commercials I did. And but I did those as a young child model. I think I was 8 years old. I don't remember a lot about it, which was kind of weird. I just remember being around a lot of creepy adults at certain times, and just a lot of weird things growing up. And if you're kind of running into this targeting phase, and there's a big part of it you got to be really careful for, and because they'll run a suicide program on you, and once you start realizing that you've been basically MKUltra and some of this stuff starts bleeding through, it's really difficult for you to push it out, and because everything's so a lot of things don't make sense anymore, and so they'll run a suicide program. You know, I don't know if they use a code word. I know they tried to run one with me and I didn't do it. I was going to commit suicide at one point. I almost went out, suicide by cop, but I didn't end up doing it. And it's very traumatic stuff that we're dealing with here, and there's not a lot of help out there to really help people with it. The psychiatrists try to brush it off, most of them, as being made up, some fantasy of horror stories that kids were read, you know, in books and stuff when they were growing up. Although there are a lot more starting to recognize it more nowadays than ever before, since a lot of this information is beginning to started to kind of come out over the last few years, but a little bit more and more, obviously. Before, like 5 years ago, nobody would even talk about it, and there's a reason for that. And the people that are involved, they go through a lot of things. They put together a lot of different, I guess you would say, door closes, I guess you would say, something to that effect. But they do like to keep it isolated. They like to keep it hush hush, and definitely in the not talk about type of categories. So it's something that they don't like to talk about. The people that are involved with it, it's very hush hush, and they have a lot of ways of keeping people's mouths shut if people know about it. So people are blackmailed all the way up. So if they say something, they get in trouble. And you know, these people are very, very sophisticated, and they're very good at coercing people and keeping people's mouths shut. So, and if you're not worried about yourself, they'll go after a family member of yours. So there's a lot of reasons that my family could even be attacking me. Not sure about my wife. I think there's something else there, but with my mother, definitely, I think they could be. I've asked I have a necklace that I use, and it actually, I can ask it questions, and it tells me different answers, and it's told me that that my kids, her grandchildren are being threatened, so that's why she's been helping them with me. So anyway, I'm not sure if that's true or not, but if it is, I understand why she's doing it. So, but yeah, it's very traumatizing, not just for the individual to speak about, but it's very traumatizing for anybody to help these types of individuals, to help people like me, because the abuse is so graphic and so traumatic that it's very hard to. A lot of people have to go through hypnosis because there's a lot of, like, I know most of my memory has been suppressed over most of it, but you know, a lot more of it's been coming out. More and more, so I definitely have awoken up to a lot more of it over the last couple of years for sure, and I've learned to deal with it through meditation and through praying to God. And if you're going through this process, if you do feel that you have been MKUltra and you've gone through the Satanic Ritual Abuse program, and just try to not hate yourself, because that's one of the biggest things. That suicide program that they run on you to try to get you to commit suicide after you begin to wake up, that's one of the things that they'll try to do, is they want you to hate yourself, and you'll just hate yourself for no reason at all, and you can't do that. Do not blame yourself. So if you're listening to my voice and you're one of those people, quit blaming yourself. Pray to God. You will get through this. Once you get through, you know, a few months of it to about a year of it through the suicide programming, you can get back out of this. Just stay around people that you trust. You know, really suck into that church. You know, even if it's not the best church, just try to find some type of spiritual element, outreach, or some community outreach that you can go to you know, get some type of help, whether it be through meditation or prayer, because it's essential when you're going through that suicide programming to definitely get some help spiritually, because you got to understand they're invoking demons. There's demons that run through these altars that they program you with, and so what they'll do is once they use the trauma, you're basically, what you're going to do is you're going to leave your body, because the pain is so severe, or the memory of what's happening is so severe. Once you leave your body, your soul leaves that body. That's when they basically invoke the demon, and that demon solidifies that personality trait. So whether it be the beta programming, which is for sexual gratification, or whether it be the all the way up to delta, which is the assassin programming, which is pretty severe as well. I have some of that programming as well. I think I got beta all the way through delta, because a lot of the stuff that I remember, like, I can just wield knives so easily, and every time somebody's ever handed me a gun, I know exactly what to do with it. And they're always like, how did you know to do that if you've never, you know, loaded a 9mm or you know, an AK-47? I've loaded one of those, or an AR-15, you know. I just know exactly what to do with the weapon, you know, as soon as I have it in my hand, and it's just crazy. And I've never held those weapons that I know of. So I definitely, and there's probably some mind suppression there as well. Not mind suppression, memory suppression on that stuff. So, but I definitely think I have some of that programming. And then I remember, like, things when I was growing up. I had a good friend of mine, her name was Jen, and I remember we would go to certain parties, and they would always, like, try to get us, like, they'd always have cameras around, like, they were always trying to get us to, like, fool around, and there would always be drugs, and we were only 15 years old, and these are hard drugs. There's, like, cocaine in the bedroom. They'd, like, leave a note on the door, go upstairs into the bedroom and have some fun, we'll be home shortly. And these were, like, older bosses that were, like, our employers and stuff. So there was always a lot of that kind of stuff going on in my life, and so it was just kind of strange. And there was some certain times I don't remember what did happen a couple of times, and just really like a lot of those memories are really kind of suppressed, and like I don't know if I want to remember them, so I just kind of move along. And but I just want you to know it's real, and if you guys have any people any friends or family that are going through it, just try to stay supportive with them and try to help them through it. It's really difficult. It's a really difficult process to go through, and there's not really any way of like making it go faster. You just kind of have to bleed the stuff through, and just really rely on God with everything that you have coming out, and just help them to not hate themselves, because that's one of the biggest problems with it. If you don't have anybody there to comfort you, it's really, really difficult. And I haven't had anybody here to comfort me, which made it extremely hard. So just try to be there for them and understand them. And then you definitely want to get deliverance as soon as possible. You want to get these demons that are kind of surrounding each altar. You want to make sure that you get rid of them. So you want to go through deliverance, and you can find your deliverance churches around. Try to maybe, like, I would look and try to get some references. Try to find out which ones are good, which ones are bullshit, because there are some bullshit ones out there, but there's some really good ones out there too as well. And definitely try to get some deliverance done. I had when it first started bleeding through with me, I felt possessed a couple of times, and this first time I didn't really do anything about it. The second time I really felt it. I actually had to like get the demon out myself. I got on my bed and I just said, in the name of Jesus Christ, get out of me. You know, I basically rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. I'm a child of God. And I just kept saying it over and over. And it was like the 6th or 7th time. I felt this like something rush out of my body, and my bathroom door and my faucet turned on at the same time, and there was nobody there. So it was really kind of freaky when it happened, but I didn't get scared. I just kept clearing my whole house. I just said, in the name of Jesus Christ, you get out of my home. And I lit sage, and I just was moving sage all around the house, and I just cleansed the house. I still do that. I'll still cleanse the home, you know, every now and again. But it was kind of scary at first, knowing that I was possessed in a way. But with that, I just know what it was. I know it was that one of those partitions, one of those invoked demons that was inside from the trauma that was induced into me. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go with that, and I'll do another video here real soon, and let me know what you guys think. This is Heavy T, and I'm out. Peace.